Hello, Ashley.
Hello.
You had a book come out last week.
I did.
Was
I
it
did
last week?
have.
Yeah, because it was the
Was it?
20th and this is like
This
the 29th.
Tuesday.
Was
Yeah.
it this Tuesday or last Tuesday?
I think it was last Tuesday.
Okay. I was
Should
like,
have been
it's been on
last
my Kindle
Tuesday.
for like a week
Yeah.
and silently judging me because I can't read it yet because I have too much at the moment, but it's fine.
Listen. Yeah, it snuck up on me. I have had a whole bunch of stuff happening, just like real life things, and I like looked up one Sunday or Monday, and it was like, "Hey, your book comes out on Tuesday," and I was like, "This Tuesday." Like this, the upcoming one, because I was
Oops.
not ready. I was like, "Oops."
It's okay. It's here. I think that like this is your third book, so I feel like
Yeah.
it's kind of like it happened. There's not as much fanfare anymore, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah, it's like the first time. I can't imagine that one sneaking up on me. It was like every day. It was like, oh my god, it's almost here, and I
Oh
had,
gosh.
and now this one's just like, oh shit, I had a book come out. Like, oops,
Yeah, well, it's here now. Yay.
yay.
So before we like talk about your book a little bit, let's talk about you because I feel like we haven't like super talked as much about who we are. So we'll get to me when my book comes out later. So let's talk about you.
Oh, that's scary. Okay. You want me to do just like a little introduction?
Yeah,
Just like
yeah, like
a little. I can't say. Usually, when we do these types of things, for whatever reason, my Zoom won't show me you. Right? It's like I can't see your camera, and now I can't see mine. So if I'm like
you're
not
good.
centered or whatever, okay. Um, that's so weird. I feel like I'm just kind of talking into the void here. But
I
I'm
get that.
Ashley,
Yeah.
right? I'm Ashley Hawthorne, and I write contemporary romantic suspense. This is I just had my third book come out. The first one was Deliver Me, and then I had Death Sentence, and this one is Beneath Calm Waters. The first two were independent standalones, and this one is actually the first in a duology, which I have never done. Like like a sequel before. So that's been fun and unpleasant for me. I do not think that I will be doing any more of those. So if you are a standalone type person, I might be an author for you because I don't see myself doing the sequel thing again. I do not like I don't like playing in the same sandbox more than once. I don't think. And as far as me as like I guess a person instead of just as an author, I am a mom. I have two almost one is completely grown. He is 19, and my youngest is 15. She has just gotten her driver's permit, so we are learning how to drive. Um, I've been doing a lot of side seat driving where you got to reach over and turn the wheel. Like okay. um, We have a house full of rescue pets. I've got three dogs and three cats because both me and my husband are extremely soft hearted and we keep bringing home strays and not rehoming them. Um, yeah, I mean, I've been homeschooling. I homeschooled the kids their whole academic career. So I have graduated my oldest and my youngest is in high school. I am currently doing like political activism work with a local Indivisible chapter. So yeah, that about sums up, I guess, how I spend most of my time outside of writing.
I have to say props to you for homeschooling because I considered it for about 2 seconds and then I was like, I don't have the patience for this. So good for you.
I think since we've always done it that way, they never really went out. That's just kind of been. It's different when you've always done it than it is to try to take them back in after they've been out in the world and they're used to going to school and having a teacher and that kind of stuff. And both of mine have different. Like my oldest is dyslexic and my youngest has ADHD. So they've got some things that make going to regular school challenging, and we've been able to kind of adapt to their needs at home. So it's been. I wouldn't say it's not been challenging, but I think that we've enjoyed it, which I think is the key thing there.
That's awesome. I love that it's been a good experience because especially that you're able to give them, what they needed as far as like working differently with the neurodivergent, which is cool because I feel like I don't see a lot of that in like regular school. So cool. Good for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about Beneath Calm Waters. I love the color scheme. You have such good covers. So I want to like start with that because did you have like a vision or did you just tell them do what you want or what happened with that?
I've
So,
worked with the same cover designer for all three of them, and I always, I get input, they always come to me and like, what colors do you like? Give me examples of other books in the genre that you like that we might be able to kind of end up in that kind of same zone. So, I have always been like, these are things that I like, and I give them several examples, and then they send me like 6 or 8 different covers. And then I get to go through and pick out the one that I like the best, and request any changes. I think the first two both had come when they first gave them to me had kind of like a kind of swirly cursive looking font, and I was like, most of the younger 20 somethings can't read cursive, so you might want to change that and make it something that's a little bit readable because they don't teach cursive like as a standard in school anymore. So it's harder for them to read. So I asked for them to change that, and they did. But yeah, I've been very impressed with the covers. I should have. I always think I'm gonna grab the book so I can be like, look at the cover, and then I never ever remember to do that.
I
Um,
meant to bring my Kindle up so I could at least be like I
oh,
have
hold it
it
up.
here because I couldn't order the paperback when I went to pre-order. I hate it when Kindle or when Amazon does that. It's like you can order this but not this and so
Yeah,
I
and I
had
actually
that.
we had to go in like after the launch day and fix it to make it so where you could get that. She had to argue with Amazon to get them to put the actual paperback version up because it always happens. Something always goes wrong with Amazon, like where
Dude,
it just
always with us too. All of LCP stuff, there's always an Amazon problem with like two-thirds of us. Like we'll be in the chat and Brittany, our fearless leader, is always like, okay, this is what we had to talk to Amazon about today.
hmm
But it's out now, so at least it's here and
yes,
you can get the paperback and the Kindle version and all that. So, and
yeah,
probably wherever else you get ebooks. I mostly just use my Kindle because it's the easiest. And as much as I hate Amazon,
yeah.
shame.
I'm the same way. Like I have a KU subscription, and that's why I
It's
actually, if I sometimes I have, if I buy them, I usually get them from Kindle, but I really heavily use my local library for ebooks, or you can
yes.
just get them and then send it back. You're done.
I love that though. I love that it's as a librarian because that is what I used to be before I did this thing. It was always my favorite thing is like being able to libraries in general, right? But then the fact that it is you're able to get Kindle books and like audiobooks, it's awesome. I love that for
Yeah.
us. So you can request our books, all of our books from your library. Anyway, okay. So we talked about the cover. Oh, you have art. Do you have a card, or you'll just pop it in if you don't have it? Do you have
No, I
like
don't
your?
actually because I haven't ordered them yet. I
Okay,
was
okay.
I can't really say I was procrastinating. I'm poor. So, like, I couldn't afford to get the art done until, like, right before it was time. So I was
I
like,
feel
since
that.
I had such a short window between the time I actually had the final version of the art and the end of the pre-order, I was like, I'll just give y'all till the end of May to be able to order the book and get your thing. So I never actually order the art until I see how many I need for the pre-order campaign.
That's really
So I don't
smart.
have the because I'm always like fingers crossed I'll be able to get more than like the minimum, because I think where I buy my stickers from, you have to order them in batches of like 50. I'm like, maybe I'll have more. I never do. I never have more than 50. I usually have like 25. But me and my perpetual optimism was like, what if I need more than 50 and then I have to do another order and then I have to pay shipping twice? Like,
So that's my thing is I don't want to pay shipping twice. So I'm like
yeah,
wildly over ambitious. And yeah. But I mean stickers and prints don't go bad, right? So next like if
yeah,
you do something, you can take them. So
yeah.
cool. Okay. It's very cute. I saw the art. I really love it. And I like that the colors it like matches the cover, but it also feels like they're underwater, which they're not, obviously, because they're like standing in front of bookshelves. But it just has that like
Right.
feel and it
Yeah, it
goes really
does. It
well.
does
I
kind of
loved
have
it.
that feeling to it.
It's
I
really
really.
cool.
I gave her the cover and was like, "This is the color scheme that I want to have." So I feel like that it matches super well because you were literally able to just take the cover and be like, "Here are the exact colors."
That's great. I love that. I love when things go together. Okay, so let's talk about the book itself now. Where did your idea come from?
This one, I okay. So this one was actually just kind of like I like to write murder mysteries, right? And This one was literally some like a post that had been floating around forever about working in nursing homes and all of these how old women would just confess their murders to you. And I'm like, that's hilarious. Like I can literally imagine, this sort of like a caretaker and like an older lady and them, having to deal together with this like abusive old man. And that's where literally the seed for the idea came from was because that's what Becca is to Edith in the story is she is a live-in caretaker who moves in to help take care of her. She moves in with her husband, and that being Grayson's grandparents. And then George dies, and it's like, they sort of like started from that seed of like these two women having to make this decision and deal with this abusive old man, and that's kind of where it comes from. And it didn't necessarily stay, I don't think, in kind of in the exact zone of that because the idea is more like completely lost my train of thought. Does that ever happen to you?
Yeah. Oh,
But
never.
yeah,
Mm-mm.
yeah. So I mean, you want that sort of level of the mystery and like the who did it and the why and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that was where the seed of the idea came from. Was this like a younger generation woman and an older generation woman, and the secret that they have between them.
That's really cool. That's such an old story of, how do we deal with the abusive husband? And there's like songs and stories about it. So I love that you have this like whole new take on it, which is I love that. Okay. So what was it? I know this one you said was hard for you to write, and you're having a hard time getting the sequel out to, which is totally understandable. When you were writing this, were you struggling with anything? Like, did you have a favorite part too? Like, talk a little bit about those things.
So the answer to both of those questions is Becca, because there is like I loved Becca when I was writing her. I think she falls really into that sort of like unlikable female character because she is very aggressive and she is very in black and white in her thinking about what is right and what is wrong. And if you are wrong, according to her, she's going to tell you. She is very protective of the people that she cares about, kind of like almost to a fault. I do a lot of comparisons in the book between her and her small little guard dog, that they're both kind of like yappy and like they'll run in circles around you, to sort of protect their person. And she just really kind of has that personality. She is going to fight you first and ask questions later. And I think she's hilarious. And my beta readers did not like her at all. They're like, she's so mean because she's so traumatized. Like she doesn't always think before she does stuff. Her first instinct is to protect first, and she doesn't always think through like all of the consequences of that or all of the nuances of other people's behavior. It's just you've done something that she perceives as a threat to those that she cares about, and she's going to fight you about it.
I'm gonna relate to her really hard then.
And that was part of like I related to her really hard. I'm like, yeah, that's she is funny, but also like I gave her all of my anger and my trauma, and then my beta readers were like, she is so unlikable, and we kind of hate her. And I was like, oh thanks.
I had
I'm
that
like, I
happen too.
appreciate
Yeah.
that.
And it's a personal, but they don't know that it's a personal attack when you like make a
Yes.
character who is you, and then the people are like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
I don't like this one so much," and you're like, "Okay."
Like, okay, well, you just really just didn't like that whole part of me that I put it. And I did go back and do some edits to make her. I wouldn't say I softened her necessarily because I didn't really walk back the areas where she was being more obnoxious, but I did add some softer moments in other places to make her, I think, feel more human, which hopefully, hopefully will at least make it so that you can see that she's not always a pain in the ass.
Layers. We all have layers. It's fine.
Layers, yeah.
I love that you said that you to make her more human because like 90% of the time I don't feel human, so I relate. I get it.
Just a walking ball of traumas
I
and
just I am six squirrels in a graphic t-shirt. That's fine. Um anyway, okay. So when you were writing Becca and you were putting yourself into her, how did you like I guess are your other characters like based on someone else too, or did you pull them from anyone, or did they just have like an old lady pop fully formed into your head? Like where are your characters from?
it really depends on the character. I sometimes I don't really think I've ever written a character and been like, I'm gonna make this like about somebody else. It's like I take little parts of me and I break off that part, and that becomes the seed to a new person. You know, whether it's just, I mean, I always give them what feels like something that I think Edith, a lot of times when she gets nervous, she starts to talk a lot. You know, she gets real chatty. And she just kind of never knows when to shut up. And I feel like, I gave her that part of me. And then, I always start with that little seed, and then I kind of build it up depending on what I need from them from the story and how I feel like they would react to, various things that happen. But I think that they all start with a part of something that I find relatable.
That is interesting. That's really cool. I like that you say that you like break off a little piece of yourself and like put that in your that's there's always some piece of ourselves in the things that we write that I really like. I like how you said that. That's cool. So did you have, I know you were a much stronger outliner than I am. And so when you were outlining and like drafting and stuff, did you have, and then you said that you followed oh, you told me about the book. I even went and bought the book and I can't remember the title. What's the book?
Which
The
one?
book there, you told me about it. It's a, because every time I search for it in my Kindle, it thinks that I'm searching for like meal planning or something. But it's so dumb. It's so weird. I can't. What is the title? And I don't have my phone. I can't.
What is
And
it?
using my phone.
What is it about the book?
It's either outlining or drafting or editing or something like that. But it's
Probably intuitive editing.
intuitive editing because it thinks I'm searching for intuitive eating. That's what it
There we
is.
go.
That's what. Yeah. Okay. So did you like follow that? Did you have like a little bit of a different process from your previous two books, or did you just like stick to your?
I use the intuitive editing. I think when I read through it a while ago to kind of build my process for how I draft, because it was like all these questions. Like when you edit, go back and ask yourself all these questions, and I was like, why don't I just ask myself all those questions at the beginning and then have to do it later? So it's just kind of become part of my I think that's why I do such heavy outlining and stuff. Is I want to go back and make sure that I take those things into consideration when I start writing the book. So it's like what's the character wound, and how does their perspective change from the beginning of the story to the end of the story, and so I ask myself all those questions at the beginning as I'm creating the character and kind of designing the story. It's like, okay, what needs to happen from the beginning to the end in order for this misconception that the character has, or whatever it is about them that needs to change, to be different by the end. Which makes my drafting a little bit cleaner. I mean, I'm not saying there's not things that I don't have to go back and change, but like I definitely think it helps with the not having to change as much towards when you're getting towards the end or doing all of your editing, because you have that kind of overall arc already worked out inside your brain, or at least I do.
That's really smart is like thinking about, like I feel like when you're writing a story, those are like in the back of your mind and you're not like act like not you obviously, like generally, but like most of the time you're just sort of getting it out. So it's really like
Right.
smart to have that up front and like thinking about it. That's very like intentional and like thinking about thinking is it's my
I do a
my
lot of
English
thinking about
professors.
thinking.
Yeah, my English professors would be so proud of you. I did so many metacognitive reading logs in college. Like, oh, they would be so impressed with you right now. Much more impressed than they were with me. Um, so okay, so since you do outline so heavily, like, did you have any major changes, or did you see things going one way and they kind of like took a change, or does it just you really stuck to that?
Generally speaking, I stick to it pretty closely. I think for this one, the thing that surprised me the most is I had planned for Grayson to have a best friend that he would run into when he moved back to town. And like I get partway through the book, and we have this, this moment where him and Becca's sister go into the bakery, and two semi-unexpected things happened at this exact moment. The first of which is Henry fell immediately in love with Becca's sister Peyton, just, kind of like at first sight. And the second of which is Grayson seeing his best friend and having all these feelings, and me realizing in that moment that Grayson was bi and had been in love with Henry before he ran away from home. So I have no idea what was up with that particular writing session, but it was like these things just kind of happened that I had not anticipated and had not written into there, and it was just like it's weird because to somebody that doesn't write, the idea that the characters can just do stuff or feel things that you didn't intend seems so weird. But it just, it's like, you write something a certain way, or a sentence comes out maybe that has an implication that you didn't expect, and your brain says, huh, what if I made that intentional? And then it just kind of sticks and it just becomes part of the story.
I love that. I love that you said that because I feel like I'm just a mouthpiece for these people who live in my head, right? Like
Right?
I don't control them. They do what they want to do. I'm here to tell their story. That's so interesting though, because I had such a similar experience with the one that I'm writing right now. Like there's like this one, the one ran away and then the other one was like, oh shit, was I in love with him? And it's like they were best friends and so yeah, I love that. And I love like that way later realization and like what just happened. So that's gonna be I'm excited to read that. So that's cool. Okay, so my mind just went blank again. God, why am I like this?
We both had that problem, Jay, where it's like you're in the middle of something and then your brain just kind of like takes a vacation
I
mid
have the
sentence.
circle and the yeah. Okay. I love that there's another dog. I was gonna say that when you were talking about it earlier. I love it. I'm very just Winston was my favorite and now I'm just so cute. Okay. Um do you have a specific favorite scene or like or did you do you even okay. If you're like me, I don't remember anything about my books when they're done.
Right?
So
I
you
always
can
have to
ask me
stop
my
and think.
favorite
I'm
scene.
like, favorite scene? I'm like, do I have scenes in this book?
It's like what are scenes? This is a book? What?
The characters did some stuff, but I don't even remember.
Things happened. Read the book and find out.
Right? Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I don't know if I have a favorite scene. I do. I know I have like little moments, and I think those are the things you pull from, when you're like trying to grab content for social media, where you're just like, you have those little lines or little moments where you're like,
Yeah.
that's a moment right there that the reader is gonna, they're gonna feel something, they're gonna have a reaction to that. I like, the first time Grayson sees Becca, he's outside of a diner. He's going in, she's coming out. So like he sees her, they kind of make awkward eye contact, and he's like, okay, he thinks she's hot, but he's kind of hiding because he's getting caught staring at her or whatever. And then he gets to his grandma's house and knocks on the door, and the dog goes crazy, obviously, because somebody's there. He's like, oh my god, my grandma's got a dog, right? And then Becca opens the door, arms full of crazy dog, and she looks at him and she says, who the hell are you? And he's like, who the hell are you? Like, this is my grandma's house. So they have this immediate sort of antagonism, because as soon as she recognizes him, she's like, oh, you're the one who left your grandma here to deal with this stuff for all these years. And she immediately hates his guts, right?
I
So
love a
there's
meat
this,
hate.
yes, there's this instant antagonism where they're both feeling like the other one is in their space, right? Because he's like, this is my grandma's house. And she's like, well, I'm the one who's lived here. I'm the one who's been taking care of her. Where have you been? And it just kind of immediately sets the stage for that antagonism between them. And she is just a handful. She has no problem letting him know exactly what she thinks about him and exactly how much she doesn't like him, and she wishes he was not there. And I love banter and just the snark, and it brings about all of my little evil in all my evil insides. I'm like, yes, be mean to him.
Yeah, banter is one of those things that's just I'm like, oh, this is so good. It's always my favorite thing to read and to write, but sometimes it is so hard to get like the pacing of the banter and get like the word choice right. And like, how do you write banter? Do you have like, it's one of those things where do you like you save things and you're like, ooh, I'm going to use that later, or does it just come out?
Banter, I feel like, comes pretty now. I like to tell people that in my household, roasting is a love language,
That's
right? It's
yes,
just,
yes.
they're my husband, my children, my mom. There's just we are a very sarcastic and just a family that likes to needle each other constantly. So I feel like you get kind of into that habit of just the wittiest. You always have to have a comeback ready, because everyone in your life is just looking for an opportunity to get you. So you've got to be ready to come back with something at a moment's notice. So
I love that. My mom told me that she watched our last thing. So, hi, mom, if you're watching this. I definitely learned all of my sarcasm from my mother, but she always is like, "Why? Where does this come from? Like, why?" And I'm like, "Dude, I got it from you." And she doesn't always like think of it that way. And so when my kid come back at me with sarcasm, I'm like, "I'm proud. This is my like
yeah.
proud mom moment." And I'm like,
My kids are awful because they've always been at home with me, and it started out kind of an unofficial thing. Like, if they could get me to laugh, they were not in trouble, or at least not in as much trouble. So they are very well honed on being funny because they are, if you can make them all laugh, you can get away with almost anything barring like actual bodily harm. So they're hilarious, and I have done it to myself.
Yeah, my kid has developed, and she doesn't even realize it yet. Like she's 9, so we're not aware of like the extent of comedic timing. But it's not like her comedic timing is impeccable, and she'll just
Right?
say, and I'm like, I can't. It's one of those you can't laugh, but you have to, and I'm just like
Yeah.
dying inside because I'm like, you are going places, and I don't know where they are. I'm best
Definitely places.
places. Okay. Let's see. All right. So, do you have, well, you said that Becca, you love writing Becca. And do you have a, her aside since she's you? So, who's your favorite otherwise, like writing?
Otherwise,
Oh, wait, hang on, wait. Before we get into that, is it dual POV or is it just single?
no.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I love that. That's
Yeah.
always my favorite. Okay, carry on.
I think Grayson would be my second favorite. He's. It was interesting to kind of get into his head because as much as Grayson handles things kind of like the way, or as much as Becca handles things the way that I would, with that sort of like more aggressiveness, he's kind of the opposite. He is equally as traumatized, but he handles his stuff by sort of like running away. He disengages from conflict a lot. Maybe not so much with Becca, but he's not really intimidated by Becca. When he's legitimately intimidated or something goes wrong, his instinct is to cut and run, right? So, as much as it was interesting to write Becca because it's familiar, it was challenging to write Grayson because it's different. It's almost the opposite of my natural inclination. So, I like to write those characters that are challenging because they're unfamiliar and it's a different way of processing things, and to kind of get into somebody's head that experiences the world in a way that's very foreign from the way that I experience it. And he's just a sweetie. I liked writing him because he is, generally speaking, a good person, on the inside. And I'm not saying Becca's not, but he definitely leads, I think, with his softness in a way that she doesn't. And I kind of switched it, from my first book. It was like, the female main character was the one that was really soft and sweet, and this one it's the opposite. So it's
And then in the
interesting
middle,
to,
they're both kind of like,
yeah, they're both kind of, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I like that. I think it is hard. It's hard for me to write sweetness. Like as I resonating as I do with Becca and those sort of mean's not really the word that I want to use, but those sort of like harder
yeah.
type of characters, whether it's male or female, I find myself more like getting that. So like the sweetness, I'm always like,
And I think that might be part of the reason why I'm struggling so much with the
yeah.
sequel is that one is really like a sunshine pairing. They are
Um,
both very sweet. Neither of them really has that sort of hardness to them. Oh, I think most of their issues come from them both being like, "But you deserve better than me."
uh,
you
I
know,
love to read that,
and
but it's so, yeah,
it's
yeah.
really hard to write because there isn't any of like the banter. It's mostly angst and yearning. And while I do love those things, it's really hard to because of me being me. To not have so Becca's moments in the sequel, because she's obviously still around. Those are the places where I put in, the funniness of her being like, "Well, there's a problem. Time to go burn down the sheriff's office."
Ooh, things to look forward to. Okay.
Yes,
It's just when in doubt, burn down the sheriff's office.
that's pretty much her motto.
I
It's
mean,
like burn it down, whatever. She's like, "I'll break his legs. It's fine."
okay. I'm excited to read more of this now. I'm like, we're just gonna immediately resort to violence. I love this.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so book 2, do you have a title yet?
It is cold against the tide.
Okay. Oh, so I remember. Yeah, we talked about this because it's
Yeah,
the water theme.
right.
Um, how did you come up with this setting? Like, is it one of those where it's like super integral to the story, or you're just
Um,
like, oh, water?
Well, yeah, I mean, I made a whole town. Like, I created a fictional small town in Oregon. Um, I don't, I don't remember. I don't remember how I like okay, so part of the process when I come up with a new book is like I go through and I start scrolling through Pinterest, and I when I'm looking for something like a setting or something, it's like I'm really just kind of looking at aesthetic pictures and trying to figure out like where this story fits in my brain. And I think probably I was just scrolling through and saw a picture of pine trees or, like and I was like, oh yeah, let's stick it up there. Why? I don't know. Because I don't see stuff in my brain. That's why, I think. Because I can't, like, I have aphantasia. I don't picture things in my head. My entire mental existence is like listening to the radio, right? I have no visual. It's just a running dialogue like narration inside my head. So when I picture a story, it's like I don't have the visual component. So I have to actually go and look for pictures of like models for people or
Sorry about that.
like it's doing something or places because I legitimately don't know what it looks like until I see it. So I have had to do that a few times. Actually, I
Yeah,
may have
that's
started with Becca's bus, with her VW bus, the yellow one. I think the picture that I saw, I was like, "Hey, that'd be a cool car to have." Was like set against the Oregon beach with like the pine
like
trees and that
rocks
kind of
and
stuff.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, "Yeah, that's well, there you go. That's the
Cool.
setting."
That's really cool. I love that. Yeah, I do the same thing. I'm like, if I have like a character like trying to come up with something in my head, I just like scroll Pinterest until I find an aesthetic that works. Then I'm like, where is this? And
Right?
just drop them into wherever that is. Okay, that's cool. I have a hard time with the pictures too. So like I can't hold on to picture. I don't like I know what an apple looks like and I like there's like the void of it in my head, but there's not like apple. So
Right.
the mood boards and aesthetics and those sorts of things are very helpful for me.
Yep. I would just have
Um,
to have a mood board. Otherwise, the physical descriptions would be very inconsistent if I didn't have a person to look at. Be like, oh yeah, her hair's brown and her eyes are blue.
I don't know if you remember
It
it.
was.
I think when you were reading my book that comes out this summer, the eye color of the main dude was every single possible color that could ever be imagined, and this was pointed out. And so like Tristan read it too, and she pointed it out every time, and she was like, "Now I'm just trying to keep up." I was like all so yeah, I can't remember because I don't hold pictures in my head, and so like I don't
Yep.
know. I'm just it's a dude. He has dark hair, and that's all I got. So. Okay. In that vein, do you have like a fan cast? Like, do you have like specific people in mind? Do you or like who would you like to play your characters in a movie?
I haven't. I literally have given that absolutely no thought. When I did for my first one, obviously coming from a fandom, it was easy to be like, oh yeah, clearly those are people, right? But I really do make them now. I like scroll just like random models,
Hmm.
to find until I find so I have no idea who those people are, and I don't. I have given no thought to like who would play them in a movie. Um, I have no answer to that question.
Yeah,
Because
that's
I don't
I
picture. I'm like, I'm like, I don't know.
no, that's totally I do the same thing. I if pressed, I would have to like go and Google because I don't know who's acting now. I could keep tell you actors from like 10 years ago, but I don't know like these
Yeah, and
people are like 22. I'm way older than them. Like I can't keep up. I'm sorry.
I spend most of my time watching C dramas or K dramas now, so I like to don't ask me questions about who's popular in American acting because I don't really watch movies and I have not watched American TV in a few years.
Yeah.
So,
I
well, I
just
like
rewatch old stuff.
yeah, well, I like. I hate watching American TV because there's not like an ending, and that's even like especially Netflix is like they'll start a season of something or you'll get a season or two and they never finish it, and
Yeah.
that drives me crazy. So you can go and watch a C drama, right? And you'll know at the beginning it's got 50 episodes or however many, and that's the story. They go from the beginning until the end, and it's done and it's finished, and you'll never run into a situation where you don't know what the end of the story is. It's usually based on like a book or something like that. So yeah, I like going into a story knowing that I'm going to get to watch the whole thing. It's not going to stop halfway through and leave me on an agonizing cliffhanger. So I think until American TV fixes whatever issue it is that they're having with like doing a quarter of a story or a half of a story and then being like, okay, well, we're canceling it now. I will not
Even
be watching it.
the ones that finish end badly,
Yeah,
like I'm still not over Supernatural and it's been ever how many years. So
right. And that's, see, I like that too because I can literally pick a show and then I can Google like happy or sad ending and it will tell me. And then I'll be like, oh,
Yes.
I'm not watching that one because I skip the ones that end sad. Unless I have watched, I think, one or two where it's like I knew it was going to end sad, but like it seemed like, you know, it made sense. I was like, okay, I can be sad this one. But I like to have the option of going into it knowing that it's sad so I can be prepared and I've always been like a read the last page of the book first person.
Hmm.
I like spoilers. I have anxiety. So I think we've talked about that before. Like I have
Oh yeah.
anxiety and knowing what happens before, even if I go to like a movie or something, a lot of times I will Google like the synopsis for the movie so I know what happens before I watch it.
Yes, I do the same, and it's totally fine if you do that to our books as well. Please spoil yourselves
Yeah.
with our books. Like,
Yeah.
ask me if you want to know what happens. I will tell you.
Oh,
Like,
I've literally had that happen before. I've had somebody be like, I want to read it, but it seems like it might be, you know, sad. Can you tell me if the ending is happy? I'm like, I will give you as much detail as you want. Do you want to know exactly what happens, or do you just want to know if it's a happy ending? It's like, oh, I just want to know if it's a happy ending. Yeah, it's a happy ending. I'll tell you right. I write romances, so that shouldn't be a spoiler, right? It shouldn't be a
that shouldn't
spoiler.
be a spoiler.
I write romantic suspense, but I do qualify it as a romance, right? And a romance has a happy ending, and I will literally fight you.
It's not optional.
It's
It's
not
not optional. It
optional.
has to be happy.
It has to be a happy ending. So
Yeah. Okay. All right. Since we're about out of time, give us your elevator pitch, and then for beneath. Yeah.
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 Okay, so Beneath Calm Waters is a romantic suspense and the first in a duology about a runaway who finally comes back to his hometown after the mysterious death of his grandfather, only to find himself falling in love with a woman who might have killed him. So
That's so good. That's so good. I'm so excited. I've been so excited to read it since you were talking about it, and I really wanted to do an arc, but I had like 30 arcs and I couldn't at this. So I have it. So I'm
I am so
excited.
behind on my reading in general. Like, I mean, I have read almost, I think I've read like 40 books this year so far. And I still am just incredibly behind. And I think that's just the life of an author is that people make new books faster than I can read them.
Hmm.
And
And also having to write them in the process is just
oh, yeah, it's
difficult.
just like, okay. Yeah. So,
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for this. We had fun, and we'll do it again next time.
yeah, I will see you next month. I think we're doing this
Yeah.
monthly, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Monthly.
Let's
Cool.
see if we can get another guest speaker. That was fun. I
Yeah. That'll be
enjoyed our
fun.
last one.
Yes. Kate was fun. Okay.
Yes. All right. Thank y'all for listening
Thank you.
or
Yes. Thanks for
watching.
watching and listening. Bye.
Bye.